Alright, so this is your cardiovascular system, and it doesn't actually look like this. It's just showing you more of like the cartoon version. And so what we see here is doesn't look like some weird angel here. But what it's showing is you have the heart, you have the blood vessels that leading to and from the heart, and you have all the blood circulating within these blood vessels and the heart. So that's what our cardiovascular system is. So we're going to start off with the blood, then end up with the heart and blood vessels throughout the semester. Alright, let's go to Top Hat real quick. True or false? Blood is a type of tissue. And if you're new to PHYL and you don't know what tissue is, check chapter 4 and my previous lectures. Okay, let's see what you said. So around 83% of you said that it's true, and you're correct. Blood is a type of tissue. Now, next question. What type of tissue is it? And again, if you don't know what connective and epithelial tissues are, chapter 4. And two people are still insisting it's not a type of tissue. It is a type of tissue. It is a type of connective tissue. Some of you are like, wait, connective tissue, isn't that things like our tendons and ligaments and other thing and our adipose tissue? It is a type of connective tissue. And why is that? So to review what a connective tissue is. So a connective tissue consists in general of three things. All connective tissues have these. They have cells. They have to connect some sort of cell together. But they have something called extracellular matrix, or matrix for short. And this matrix has protein fibers and also what you call a ground substance. So as a solid component in a typical connective tissue, which are these protein fibers, and this fluid ground substance. And this extracellular proteins and the ground substance is what we call matrix. So protein fibers plus ground substance is an extracellular matrix, or matrix for short. So all of these, but blood does have all of these components with a little twist. So blood is what we call a fluid connective tissue. It's a kind of special category along with lymph. So it does have cells. You have blood cells. Definitely, that's no argument there. But extracellular protein fibers. So the interesting thing is that with blood, instead of having solid protein fibers that are insoluble in water, you have proteins, but they're soluble in water. And you also still have a ground substance as well. So you still have fluid surrounding the extracellular space in blood. So instead of talking about fibers, think about them instead of being solid fibers, that they're soluble extracellular proteins. At least that's how I was taught, and you see in a lot of textbooks. That's why it's kind of like a little asterisk. Instead of having solid proteins like collagen, now you have things like albumins and globulins that instead of forming these bundles, they're actually like these proteins that float around and are soluble in water. And plasma. So plasma is this part, the extracellular proteins plus the fluid part of blood. This is what you call plasma. Cells are everything else but the fluid part. Okay, so then you have cells, extracellular proteins, and ground substance. And then what we have here with cells, this is what we call altogether formed elements. So the formed elements in blood, these are the cells of blood. So what are formed elements? So one mnemonic I do is like, think of you have a plate and it has a red, you're eating off a plate and it has a Red Cross logo on it. Well, what does the Red Cross logo look like? It looks like this, right? And what are the colors on the Red Cross logo? Red and white. So we have red cells, so the red blood cells, these are what you call erythrocytes, and leukocytes, these are your white blood cells. And then the third type of cells you have are platelets. So these are the formed elements. There are three main types of cells in your blood: red blood cells, white blood cells, and platelets. And what we see here, so notice that they're different in appearance. We have our red blood cells here, our white blood cell, and our platelets. So different in their shape and also different in their size. Notice that the platelets are much smaller than a red blood cell and white blood cell.